Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I am on for my first Beebeecraft video with the goodies that I unboxed last week. So for today's video, I want to use the 10-piece pack of stamps that I received. Some awesome stamps in this lot. And I'm also going to use the leaf dies. The dancing skeleton dies. These are hilarious. Absolutely love them. And my fancy little house dies, which are really, really cute and versatile as well. So as per usual, the link to Beebeecraft is down below. There's also a link to the individual products in case you want to head straight to one of those. There's also my coupon code, which is NAT10. If you use that upon checkout, you can get 10% off of your order with Beebeecraft. So we'll see what we can make with this lot. So first off, we're going to do some die cutting. And I have my dancing skeleton dies here. And I will be cutting these out on some black cardstock. And I also cut them out on some white cardstock. So I'm just doing one pass through to show you how well they cut. These are the most fun dies ever. So you can see that they're just popping out quite easily there. Just pushing them all out, and then I get my pokey tool to press all the little bits and pieces out as well, which I think I was doing off camera, so you don't actually see me do that. But you can see they're coming out really nicely. So there are all my black and white skeletons. And they're the negatives, which are really funny as well. So I'll probably use those sometime. So now we're on to the little house dies that I've got. And I'm not taking them apart. I'm putting them on together, and I'm putting down some craft cardstock here and some book page. I'm just using scraps for these. And some black cardstock and some more book page. That way I can get two houses with each pass through. They're so small, those dies, so really good for using up your scraps. And again, you can see they pop out really, really nicely. So I do keep my negatives. I've got a big drawer under my desk that I put all the negatives from my die cutting in to use. Now I'm on to my leaf dies, and I thought it'd be good to use some magazine page with these, something a little different. So I'm just layering 2 lots of magazine page, and I've opted for like garden scenes with a bit of greenery in that. And again, you can see they've popped out really, really nice. They're a little fragile though, so you've got to be careful when you're pulling them out that you don't break them. So now I'm on to doing some stamping with the awesome pack of stamps that I've got. Now for this first rose one, it's too big for any of my stamp blocks, so I decided to use my stamp press. That will also enable me to go over it a number of times if need be to get a solid stamping. And I'm just stamping this onto white cardstock with my archival ink. It's black archival ink. I try to make sure I put pressure on every part. I didn't put enough pressure on the top of my little rose. I do go over it again just to get a nice solid print. And forget to press up the top there as well, but that's okay. And it just came up so nicely. So with the rest of the stamps, I can use my smaller stamp blocks. And I've just got some of my gardening magazines there underneath my cardstock to just add some cushioning. And I've got my bird stamps first. And these all stamped so nicely. So I did go ahead and stamp most of the stamps that I have, although I won't be using all of them in today's project. When I was doing the preparation, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to use, and I do like doing extra stamping and die cutting, so I've got bits to use in future projects. So I've got the cherry blossom pack there. I think they are my two favourites out of the 10 packs, the cherry blossom and the bird ones. They're a lot of fun to colour in. Now this one I do stamp again because I had two stamps on the stamp block. I didn't get enough pressure in the middle there for that smaller twig, so I decided to re-stamp that one. Now I'm showing you what I have stamped and how well they've come up. I love those mushroom stamps. They'll be fun to use in future projects. I did a couple of the roses. I like those cameras. They came up really nice too. I only stamped over them once and they'll come up very nice and solid. So I've coloured in some of my cherry blossoms here, and I'm just showing you how I did that. I used some watercolour pencils that I got secondhand and just shaded in the areas I wanted to add colour to. Such a forgiving way of doing your watercolours. I feel like I'm cheating because you're not really painting, but you are. A lot easier to control the pencils than the paint. So I'm just going over the twigs and the leaves. I think I've got a really dark brown for the twigs and then an olivey green there for the leaves. So I sat out in front of the TV last night and coloured in the flowers there. So once that's done, I grab my paintbrush pen thing. Now it doesn't have water in it. I find things get too wet, so I'm just add a little bit of water to it and it holds on to the water that you add to it for ages. And then I just go over the bits that I've coloured in and it activates the pencil. Sort of blends it together like it is watercolour. It's a lot of fun. So that's how I coloured all the stamps that I am using in my projects. Then I have these pearl paints and I'm just adding highlights over the top with a similar colour. So I've got another one of the stamps here. It is a text stamp and I have a purple envelope there and I want to use that as an envelope flip in one of my journals. And I thought that would look nice to put my roses on. So I'm just doing some background text stamping. And then this is another one of the little stamp sets and I'm grabbing out one of these French postal themed stamps. I thought that might go nice as well. And then I do some more of the text stamp because I was using, I think it was milled lavender or something, and it was fading away and you could hardly see it. So I thought I'd add a bit more. Then I'm using my Versamark ink in purple to print the postage themed stamp. And then I want to emboss over that with some clear embossing powder. And of course I melt that with my heat gun. And then because I liked that colour, I decided to go over again with text stamp in that colour, which I did like, except for when I put it up the top, it did come up a little bit messy. So next thing to do is stick down my roses. Again, I've coloured those in with the watercolour pencils and the pearl paints. And then I decide just to add a little bit of lace. It helps with the messy stamping I did up in that top corner. And just really tops it off as well. Then I've got a couple of postage stamps there that I found in my stash, and I thought I would add them over the other messy stamping that I had done. So that makes a nice simple envelope flip. Now I want to make another one. I am using card sets. So I've got the card that goes with the envelope there, and I've just cut that in half. I want to use one half of it to make a journal card, and the other half I will cut down to make a tag with, and it will be a matching set to go with my envelope flip. So I'm just adding some of my scrap paper to the back of my journal card for some writing area. Now I'm just figuring out the placement of my stamped pieces and sentiments that I want to use. Did choose some of the sentiments from the bird kit for some of these projects. So I'm just figuring out what to put where. So this is the other half of the card, and I'm just cutting that down for my tag. That way I can go through all of my stamped pieces to see which one I want to go on what embellishment. Again, just cutting some of my paper scraps to go on the back of my tag. So just figuring out the placement on the journal card now. So you can see I've got a bit of white cardstock there, and I want to stamp one of the vases that was in one of the other stamp sets. I'm stamping it over the top of my cherry blossom there because I want the top of the vase print on my cherry blossom, so it looks like the cherry blossom is sitting in the vase. So I stamp it on the cardstock and then fussy cut it out, and I do go ahead and watercolour that off of camera as well. So I want to add some of my ribbon and lace to these pieces. I'm using my tacky glue just to hold the ribbon on a little bit while I get its placement down on my card. It's not sticking too well, but if I can just have it on there a little bit so I can keep my ribbon straight while I place it on the card, it's all I'm looking for. So then I apply the glue to the actual card where I want the lace to stick, and it sticks down real nice then. And I can just trim the edges off. So I'm placing my stamped pieces on there so I can figure out where I want to put the sentiment. And then I'm using my stamp block and my archival ink again to stamp that, and it comes out really nice and crisp. Then I can just stick down all of my stamped pieces there. Now they come up so pretty with the colours that I chose. Yeah, I love the way they turned out. I haven't done much of this colouring in stamped bits like that. The watercolour pencils are just so nice to do it with. So that's my envelope flip there. And now we're onto the journal card that we're going to stick inside the envelope. Again, I want to add some of my ribbon and lace. It is used ribbon, if you can't tell. Just trying to use up scraps. Made it a bit hard to stick down on anything because it's a bit crinkled, but I was determined to use it. Putting it under the lace as well, you don't notice the crinkling as much. So there's the vase once I'd finished watercolouring it. And I want to stick my flowers over the top. And that will finish the vase stamp off. Looks really cool. I'm going to have fun with the rest of that stamp set that has the bouquets and the vases in it, because they turn out really nice when you do them like that. So again, just stamping my sentiment. So I could have added some more colour and that to the background, but I had a lot of projects to do for this video. It's already long enough, so I kept it quite simple, and I like to highlight the stamped pieces more than anything. So doing the same for my tag here, adding a bit of lace and ribbon. It's a great way to use one of those card sets too. I did get a stack of those secondhand. I'm always picking them up, and I don't make cards specifically, so finding ways to use them in my journals is great. And I have so many different colours of them as well, which works. So I used just some of the scrap lace and that tiny little bit of ribbon there to make a little tab for my tag. Trying to tack it all down with my tacky glue, but it's not the best for your lace and ribbon if you're sticking them together. It sticks fabrics to the paper quite well, but sticking fabric to itself it's not the best for, so I end up using the 450 glue for that. And again, just stick my stamped pieces down. Then I grab some pink ink and just go around the edges of my 3 pieces. And that's my 3-piece set done. So next I've got the offcut of the card that I used for my 3 pieces. Thought I'd use that up and use some of my little houses that I die cut. So again, just making a quick little journal card here. I'm cutting some blank music page there. I wanted to add it, wasn't sure what I was going to do, so it's just there for now. I'm just choosing some of the different houses that I cut out of different cardstocks and scrapbook paper and book page. It's great just to cut a whole heap out of all your scraps of scrapbook paper and that, because they come together really nicely for wonky little houses. So all of those bits came out of that die set, the hearts, the stars, the little trees. So I decided I want a sentiment for this journal card as well. So I'm going to stamp that onto my music paper. So stamp it up the top there, and then I just cut it out so it's got one line underneath it. Then I move all of my pieces off so I can add my sentiment. And I can start sticking all of my houses and trees down first. So I'm purposely putting them a little crooked. And the overhanging trees, I will cut the edges off so that it's neat on the journal card. Then I can set about putting down my stars and my hearts. Such a sweet little set, and very versatile as well. So again, I just ink around the edges, and I do add a bit of scrap blank paper to the back for writing space as well. So now I want to do a bit of a darker themed tag. So I'm using some music sheet there, and I'm putting it onto the tag, which is our black cardstock. Just ripping those corners down so that they match with the shape of the tag. Then I use my black distress ink to go around the edge of the music page. And I do some ink smushing as well, so I'm just dabbing a bit of the ink onto my packaging there, spraying it with a bit of water, and then I will dab that onto my music sheet just to get a bit of grungy colour onto it. And then I dry that off nicely. Now that can be stuck to the tag. So I'm going to use my house die cuts again for this, and one of my dancing skeletons. I could have just done the whole video on those dancing skeletons. They're so much fun. But I had so much to do, so you just get to see one of them in this. But there's, I don't know if it's about 8 different skeleton positions and lots of limbs. So you could probably mix them around a bit as well. So much fun. So I'm just choosing some grey and black houses and that to put on this. And I've got a bit of vellum there. It's sort of a yellowish vellum. So I thought I'd stick that to the back of my houses in the windows and the doors there. And then, of course, I stuck the houses and the trees down. And now I've got one of my skeletons, which I'm going to put back together here. He's dancing around town. I just love the limbs. You could put like limbs everywhere, you know, a leg coming off of his head and all sorts. So that's for another day. Today I thought I'd just give him some Saturday Night Fever pose. I thought I'd stick one hand on his booty. These will come in very handy for Halloween. He's either dancing or he's doing some Shakespeare. So again, I've got the stars and hearts and that in what I've cut there. I cut a whole pile. So I'm just grabbing some of the stars mainly to decorate with. And then I also grabbed one little grey heart there, and I thought that he can be holding onto a heart. Then I grabbed some of my silver stars that I had in my stash, and I'm going to layer them up with the cardstock stars that I have there. Unfortunately, I did get a bit of glue where I don't want to. I always get glue on my silver stars. I should have used a cotton bud to apply the glue. That probably would have been a better idea. So just punch a hole there to put my topper in, and I've just got some scrap fabric there. I just tied that in a knot and cut it down, and that is my tag all finished. So we're on to the last projects that I want to do now, and I want to use my leaf die cuts that I cut out of the magazine. So I raided my garden magazine and grabbed just a couple of pictures that I thought I might be able to collage together with my leaves. So I've got a background there. Quite a plain background, and I thought that would all sit on that quite nicely. And I found this gentleman with his Hawaiian shirt. I thought that would go nice with our leaves. And sorry if you don't like snakes, but I did grab a couple of snakes. Then I just figure out placement of some of my leaves. I decided to cut the snake down the edge there, and so I could stick some leaves in there. And they fit nicely like that. I think I went a bit too far with the leaves in this. I think I should have done a few less and it would have popped a lot more. You could also go around the edges of some of the pieces with some pen to highlight them as well. But I like in the end how the snakes end up looking a bit like they're camouflaged in the leaves. And it's such a great way to use these dies as well. Of course, that'd be great cut out of cardstock and that sort of thing, or painted with the watercolours. But I thought this is a really fun way to recycle some of your boring magazine pages. So I'm just sticking them down with my stick glue there. I did just tack the snakes and the gentleman down so that I can stick leaves and that underneath in some areas. Then I can finish gluing them off a bit better in the end. It's been a while since I've done some collaging like this, and I was having a lot of problem with getting sticky fingers. Which was frustrating because I'd try to stick the leaves down and they'd just stick to my fingers. So I am going to put some music on now so you can watch the rest of the process, and I will see you at the end. So it was a bit of an eclectic mix today, but I had heaps and heaps of fun using the dies and the stamp set that I got from Beebeecraft. So it's a 10-piece stamp set. I sort of mixed and matched some of the pieces, as with the dies as well. So of course at the start you saw me do a pile of die cutting. So I cut a whole heap of my skeletons out. The dancing skeletons. So I used one in a project, but I've got stacks of them here cut out in white cardstock and black cardstock to use in the future, which is going to be great fun. I love them. I think they're so humorous. You can do piles with those. I also cut out a lot of my little houses out of various coloured cardstocks and book page. And I did do 2 projects that included those. So they're my little house dies there. So you can use just the one set, or you can use, you know, a few of them together in the one run through on your Big Shot just to get a pile out of them. So I left them joined together. You can take the dies apart, but because there's so many little ones, I thought it might be easier just to leave them together to cut. And then I also cut a pile of the leaves. I love these. And I decided that I'd cut them out of magazine page and see what I could do about collaging. I had some gardening magazines that I got recently out of the recycling. So I just grabbed 2 of those and used some pictures out of that to do the collage. And that was great fun as well. So I've still got lots of leftovers of those. And then I did do some stamping. Now, again, didn't have time to use all of these, of course, but I do have a whole lot that I've stamped out left over to colour and use in other projects. And yeah, great fun to mix some of these sets as well. So we'll have a look at what I did make today. And I must say, these stamped out so nice and clear. Not a problem at all. Had a lot of fun with those. Of course, the links to the individual products that I'm using for this tutorial and my next one for Beebeecraft will be down below, as will the links to their store if you want to go and have a look. Also, don't forget, if you buy anything, use the code NAT10 for 10% off of your order. And a massive thank you to Beebeecraft. I've had heaps of fun doing all of this. So the first thing that we made was, we'll start with this one, was this envelope. Thought I would decorate some of my envelopes because I have so many, and they can be used as page flips in my journals. So I'll just grab a journal to show you how I would insert it and use it. So I'll just grab a blank page here. So with this one, I would slip the back piece of it over the top of a page like that and stick that down. I'll put a paper clip on, and then we'll be able to flip it open like that and put some writing paper into the little pocket there if we wanted. So that's how I'll be using that one. So I used a beautiful rose stamp set that was in amongst these, which is this one. It's a huge stamp, and that was so much fun to colour in. Now, I am not an experienced painter, but I did use my watercolour pencils. Now, they are so forgiving. Highly recommend, if you want to give something like this a go and you're a bit nervous about it, grab yourself some watercolour pencils. All of mine have come from the second-hand shops around town and that. So, you know, $5 or whatever for a nice big tray of them. Can't lose that way. And then I had some pearl paints that I went over the top with, which just give it a bit of a glisten. Don't know how much you'll see of that, but it's beautiful. So that's how I coloured that in. I used some of my stamps. I used the French postage stamp that's in this kit here. So yeah, great fun to mix them up a bit. And I used the word stamp as background stamping that's here as well. Added some lace. So that was fun to do that one. And then I decided to make another one, which is this one, which we can attach the other way. So again, I would just, you could put it on the page like that again, or you can stick it down there as well, which I might do with this one. and I love the way this has turned out. I love the way these look. And again, I just used my watercolour pencils and some of my pearl paints to colour those in. And they come out so nice. And that was this bird stamp set. Love it. They turned out so nice. And I used a fair few of the sentiments on my projects as well. So on this one, I've got the always and forever. And look at how good that stamped out. Just perfect. And again, added some lace and some ribbon to that. And then on the inside, I thought I had some more birds that I had, and the cherry blossoms that I had stamped out. So I coloured them in, fussy cut them out, and I made a little tag. And I've just backed that with some paper that can be written on, some scrap. And then I made a journal card as well to slip into the envelope, some more lace and ribbon, more of the cherry blossoms, and I mixed it up with, I can't wait to play with this stamp set more too. It's got all these bouquets, and then it's got all of these vases you can use as well. So I used one of the vases and coloured that in and put one of the cherry blossoms in there. So the cherry blossoms were this stamp set. Now they'll be easier to see. And look how nice they turned out. And then, as I said, mix it up with one of the vases. And I love that. So with this, what I would do is put this on the page, like I showed. This would slip into the pocket, like that. Now, I did use a card set to make this. I have, again, secondhand, managed to grab some envelopes and card sets. That's what I've done here. I've used half the card to do the journal card, and then I cut down the other half to make the tag. And I've also made another project with the leftover piece as well, so not really much waste out of that. So with the tag, you could attach this part and make a tuck spot there for the tag, which is what I might do. I think that looks pretty good. So that's how I would add it to my journal. But for now, I'm just tucking it in there. Just love the way that turned out. Okay, so with the other offcut of the card, I used the house die cuts with the trees and the hearts and the stars that came in the set. And I did this cute little journal card. So I also mixed that up with the stamp that came off of the bird set there. And I just stamped that onto some music paper and cut it out. And then the other way I used that set was in a darker project here for this tag. So I've used the houses and the trees and the stars and hearts again in this project. So very versatile, those. And then one of my dancing skeletons. I just love it. They are so much fun. I can't wait to put the rest of them together in projects, which I would have done this time around, but it would be a never-ending video if I used all the stuff. So I thought I'd just give you a bit of a look at all the different bits and pieces. And then I just layered some stars on. Got some glue everywhere too, but that's all right. Got some of my silver stars layered on, some that came from the die cut set. Then I just put some fabric on as a tag topper. Nice Halloween tag. And then the last thing I made was using up the leaf dies. So the die cuts that I did out of the magazine. So I made this collage. I just used the gardening magazine, cut out the leaves out of pictures of leaves and lawns and shrubbery and that sort of thing. And then I found the pictures of the snakes and the gentleman in that gardening magazine as well, and the background. And then just whipped them together to make this collage. Apologies if you don't like snakes. But I just thought this one creeping up at him was pretty cool. And then this one trying to drink out of his cocktail. So that was so much fun. Very eclectic mix of things. But I thought it'd be a good way to show you the different ways I would use the stamps and dies and the different things that you could use them with. And hopefully that's given you some ideas of how you would use them as well. But I highly recommend the stamps and dies from Beebeecraft. I had no problems at all cutting the dies out, and the stamps were so clear and beautiful, especially the sentiments. They just come out so nicely. I usually struggle a lot with the bigger stamps, and this one was really easy to use. And I love the way it all turned out. So I do hope you enjoyed that. Do take care of yourselves. All the links are below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.